Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in once again to the Dungeon of the Doctors of Doom, where I am your host, Alex the Shark Sparks, and for the second week in a row, the whole squad is here. Give it up to my co-host, Mitch Fanboy Black, and of course, Vinny Big Papa Pump Santucci. Say hello to all the Delvers out there, boys.
Hello.
Did you say Big Papa Pump?
Yeah, I'm trying to involve more Papa puns, and so I was riffing on Scott Steiner.
Yeah. No,
So,
big fan.
honestly, it's probably the nicest nickname I've ever given you, so you may as well just take it, man. I mean,
I'm going to take
But
fanboy too. I'm just going to
listen.
roll with that one and move along.
It's not often that I get nice intros or nicknames, so I will take whatever I can get.
this is what they call the Renzo effect, so enjoy it while it lasts, buddy. Enjoy it while
I
it lasts.
know. I'm gonna need a little bit more of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being here, fellas. Everyone, welcome in. Not going to be a super long episode today because we got some stuff we got to do. But also, I mean, there's not as much NFL left. I mean, once we get to the off season, we'll have a lot more other sports content. But we want to keep this NFL focused because we are primarily a fantasy football podcast. There are some playoffs going on, so we will start with the playoffs, then we'll move on to other NFL news. So last week's matchups, guys, we'll start there. What did you guys think of the games this past weekend? Were there any surprises to you? Anything that stood out? What was your favorite? What was your least favorite? Break it down for me.
You want to go first, Vinny?
I mean, I thought that there was obviously some great games and then some duds. I think I don't know. I don't know if there's really any surprises. Maybe how dominant the Seahawks are is kind of a surprise, and how bad the Texans' offense is, like how bad C.J. Stroud is. But outside of that, there really wasn't anything that I kind of caught me off guard on the results, or it was overall it was pretty good. Maybe the Bears are a little surprising and just can keep up with the Rams, and my predictions obviously did not go very well on who I thought was going to win. But I was rooting for the Bears because I think that would have been an epic choice for me to say I think the Bears are going to beat the Rams, who are Super Bowl favorite, and you guys kind of drugged me for that, and they had a chance. So
I mean, if that had happened, Mitch had agreed to take a pie, and I was going to do it while wearing a Caleb Williams jersey. So that would have been an epic.
I was ready
thing.
to text, here comes my pie, first pie of the year for a Bears bet. Bears and McLaurin would have been my downfall in the last 2 years.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Even though I wasn't part of your, like, you just straight up said you'll take a pie, I was going to wear a Caleb Williams jersey to pie you in, so that I'm also, like, eating crow, because, like, I also would have been eating, even though I didn't, wasn't a part of it. Like, I've been anti-Williams this whole time. But I will say, like, so for that game, well, I mean, for those who don't watch it, obviously went to overtime. It was an entertaining game. But, like, I feel like that game goes way differently if they're not playing in the snow. Like, the rain was coming down, like, at the beginning of the game. By the end of the game, it was pouring. And I feel like, I don't know, I just kind of feel like the Bears got some home field advantage, which, look, they earned it by being the 2 seed, right? But I don't think that game's nearly as close if they play on better conditions. And then, obviously, the miracle throw, which, look, I'll give them props for that, because there's no way that throw should have been a touchdown on that fourth down play that tied the game to send it to overtime. I'll give Caleb props for that. But yeah, I think the right team won, obviously. And yes, I agree with you, Vinny. The Seahawks' dominance was surprising. Not that they're that good, because I did, like I said in the pod last week, I did kind of expect Seahawks to win. I picked the Niners to win because of my bold prediction. But considering they've played the Niners twice and the combined score was like 30-15, and in this game the score was 41-6, I feel like that was a massive spike in like their production.
Well, Durant, the corner for the Rams, can massively make up for his terrible, terrible, terrible play this upcoming week with his coverage on JSN coming up. But that was insane. I haven't seen a play like that in a long time. It's like high school, or not even high school, where, what was that guy's name in Palm Desert, Vinny, that was like an athlete that was so much better, like Johnson or whatever his name was?
Oh yeah, like Joe Johnson.
It reminded me of Joe Johnson, where it's like he's just a better athlete than everyone out there, and he's just running backwards. Like, I don't understand. I haven't seen that since high school. That was shocking to me. Now flip it to the Rams, or whatever. In hindsight, if the Rams lose big to the Seahawks this Sunday or whatever, I think the Rams might be one of the most overrated teams I've seen in the last X amount of years. Like, you barely get in, you barely beat the Panthers, you barely beat the Bears, and then you get swept by the Seahawks or whatever. I would be very disappointed in the Rams season overall. Granted, they did come back and tie it, and the Bears almost did come back and win that, so props to the Bears, but like, how you allow that play? Like, he's running backwards on his back foot, chucks it up, and there's a wide open guy in the end zone. I don't think I've ever seen that in the NFL.
No, I gave him his flowers, but I will say that's just a abysmal coverage by the defense. Like, you can't, whoever's supposed to be guarding that guy in the corner of the end zone, like, what are you doing?
That was like the prototypical like eyes caught in the backfield type thing, because there was like people like, oh, well, that was offensive pass interference, and the fact that when you watch that replay, you're like, maybe you could call it, but like it's not obvious by any means. Like, it kind of just looks like hand fighting. And then, like, how long was that ball in the air? Like, all you had to do is back up like 5 yards. Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, I feel like I could have covered that distance while the ball was in the air, and like, I am old and slow.
It reminds me of that play with Flacco in overtime where it's like 4th and 10 and he just bombs it 70 yards deep, and the safety just like misplays it or like just watches the ball in the air or something, and it just goes right over his head. It's like, how does a pro athlete misjudge it that badly? But who am I? I'm on the couch eating and watching the game, so whatever.
But I mean, Mitch saying I've never seen a play like that, and Alex and I as Auburn fans being like, didn't that just happen to Auburn like 2 years ago in the Iron Bowl, like 4th and 30, and they like threw like that touchdown to the back corner.
I probably don't remember that play, so that's my fault on that one.
And yeah, like, and Caleb, like, he only had 7 picks all season. He had 3 in this game, so like a guy who kind of choked under the lights.
Speaking of picks, how many picks were there this last weekend? Oh my god!
There were more interceptions than touchdowns, surely. Yeah, like
May and Stroud game is just like flip a coin when the next intercept, and then Allen. Oh my gosh!
Josh Allen has 4 turnovers.
The Patriots Texans game, maybe the most turnovers I've ever seen in a single game. Like, this was wild. So there are 4 picks by Stroud, 1 by May, and then how many fumble losses were there? I don't know if
this is the part of the podcast where Alex yells at me for bringing us off rails or whatever. But like, if Darnold is losing tens of millions of dollars last year because he had a bad playoff game against the Packers or whatever, and then the last game of the season they could have won the division, so he had 2 games in a row that was bad technically. But if that lost him tens to $15-20 million, how much money did C.J. Stroud just lose?
Yeah, so there were 3 lost fumbles and 5 interceptions in this game, 8 turnovers in this game, and there were 2 other fumbles that just weren't lost. So like, just a crazy amount.
You see what happened with Tua and Herbert and a couple of these. Well, Herbert actually did kind of earn his money this year and everything, especially playing Hurt. But like, how could you be some of these organizations who just did the Purdy and the Tua and all these things? Like, Purdy obviously looks good, but I'm just saying the ones that were just most recently up. Like, half of these signings aren't good signings. Like, do you think the Dolphins want the Tua back? Like, they're not gonna. Like, how could you sit here and justify Stroud getting a $50 million contract after these last couple? It's just insane.
You can't. His last 2 seasons have been terrible. I just wonder. Yeah, I don't want to. I know we have limited time, so I don't want to take it off the rails too much. But food for thought, and we can always discuss it off air even. But there was a lot of chatter that the Panthers took the wrong guy that year, and that you should have taken C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. And now we're sitting here thinking, well, Bryce Young's done a lot with a little, and C.J. Stroud has done a little with a lot on a team.
Sure.
So it's an interesting conversation, kind of in hindsight.
What's it called? The guy who got fired, the offensive coordinator, last year or whatever, who C.J. Stroud got fired because he apparently wasn't doing a great job for the offensive coordinator with Stroud, was Drew Petzing. He got fired. He just got hired a week ago to be the Lions OC. So if the Lions do well next year, post Ben Johnson after a year of a bad year, and then Stroud's still struggling, we know for a fact next year that it's Stroud and not the coordinators. Like, that's going to be super telling on how Petzing does with the Lions. Because if Goff is a world beater, then it clearly wasn't Petzing's fault 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, but also Jared Goff is, like I said, he's one of only 4 quarterbacks ever to have 3 straight years of 4,500 yards and 30 TDs, so and he did that with 2 different coordinators. Better. So I think Goff is I think Goff is a good enough player that's going to be, potential. But I get what you're saying. But but let's get back to the playoff games real quick, guys. So the Bears-Rams went to OT. It was a close game. I don't know if it was a good game to watch. Seahawks-Niners wasn't even close. Patriots-Texans was entertaining, but because of how bad it was. And then the best game by a large margin, Broncos-Bills, once again ends in heartbreak for Josh Allen. And even more heartbreak for the Broncos because there was a broken ankle on a play that just looks like nothing. If you guys go back and watch the play where it happened, Bo Nix breaks his ankle, runs it off like nothing happened, throws a TD, goes to the sideline, gives the post-game interview. They do the interviews after the game with the coach. Coach goes back in the locker room. An hour later, he comes back out. Oh, by the way, Bo Nix is done for the year.
Yeah, just we were all so shocked, right? Because it's like when? Like we literally watched him play every play of that game, and then all of a sudden it's out for season. That's probably one of the wildest injury reports I've ever seen.
And even if you watch the play where it allegedly happened, like he doesn't even get hit on the ankle on that play. Like he does get tackled by like his leg, but like it's not even the ankle he gets tackled by. It's such a fluky injury that like for that to happen. But you go back to being an Auburn fan. Well, I watched Bo Nix at Auburn, and he was pretty good. I also watched his predecessor, Jared Stidham at Auburn, and he was not. And that is who the Broncos are sliding in as his replacement. So what do you guys think this does for the Broncos' chances? Because I think you guys definitely would on the Broncos to be the favorite. I know Mitch would have been against the Patriots. I probably would have been too with Bo playing. What do you guys think now that it's Stidham?
So the Broncos have been my heavy favorite even before the year started, right? So
Right.
I've been a big Bronco guy. For me, this becomes very interesting. I'm not sure now if my biasness is getting in the way, and I'm very aware that it could be, or just my stubbornness as well. Like my bias and stubbornness might be comboing here.
You're biased for Sean Payton.
And the stubbornness of like, I've seen him go 6-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. Breeze went down and Breeze came back and they went to the NFC Championship or whatever. He went 6-0 with Bridgewater that year. I've seen him do this with, like, I know Bridgewater was a former Heisman and stuff like that, but like, I don't really necessarily know if the offense changes. I know Alex said Bo Nix runs a lot, and I don't know if that's by design, though. That might be Bo Nix just scrambling.
Well, Bo Nix has a lot of experience in college running for his life when he played at Auburn. So but what I mean by that is like the Broncos running game this year wasn't great, and especially after Dobbins went down, it was pretty bad. Like Harvey's a great pass catcher, he was not a good runner. And that could be some O-line issues, whatever. But like, so their running game was really propped up by Bo's ability to run the ball. Jared Stidham has been wearing knee braces on his knees since high school. So like, that's not a guy who's going to run the ball. And also, Stidham hasn't. People keep pointing out, Stidham hasn't thrown an NFL pass since 2023.
Yeah, this has just got like Nick Foles repeat written all over it again, in my opinion. Like, if Reich and Steichen can win with Nick Foles, I feel like Sean Payton can win with Stidham. But let me ask you a question. If the quarterbacks were flipped, if Stidham was starting for the Patriots, would everyone just be like Broncos, 100%?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So it's just the lack of... It has nothing to do with the roster of the rest of the team. It's just one player.
I mean, it's a quarterback. It's not just one player.
But you...
To answer your question, while I think the Broncos defense is overrated, I don't think they're as good as they were billed to be. I mean, look at how many points they gave up against the Bills, right? Like they gave up more than the Jaguars gave up. Like they're not as good as they used to be. I think they're, between injuries and just throughout the course of the season, they're not as good. I thought the Texans were a better defense, and I mean they were, but their offense let them down abysmally. I mean their offense turned the ball over 5 times, right? And they lost by 12. So I do think the Broncos, while they're still a little overrated, and the Patriots defense might be a little underrated, I still think the Broncos have a better defense. And offensively, I think they were relatively even before. They both had young second-year QBs who were playing well and mediocre receiving cores. Well, now one of them has a young QB playing well with a mediocre receiving core, and the other one has a young QB who does not play well and doesn't play at all, actually, with a mediocre receiving core. And I think that's going to be the difference now.
Yeah, in the 2020 season when Jimmy G went down, C.J. Beathard stepped in and went like 4-2, and they won a playoff game as well. So I'm not sure.
Right, but it's when it happens, right? That happened in the regular season, right? So he played a couple regular season games, and then an early round. We're talking about the AFC Championship game
against the Seahawks, who might be one of the best defenses we've seen in a while.
Well, no, this.
The Patriots. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. But, okay, yeah, I don't know. This is probably just my biasness, so I'll step aside. I just don't think this is as big as people think it is. Like, an 8-point spread is crazy, but I just might be alone in this.
Every part of me wants to say that the Patriots should be heavy favorites. I can't think of a better matchup for the Broncos. I mean, look, even Vegas has it as a 1-point spread. Like, that's That's pretty telling right there. That's like Patriots are 1 point favorites with Stidham. Um, you know, I think that this is a good matchup because Patriots defense is good. I wouldn't put it in the elite category. It's not Texans good. And then, I think the Texans exposed the Patriots a little bit last week. The Broncos, if I stand corrected, I know at one point they were the league leaders in sacks over the last 2 seasons. I don't know if anybody watched the Texans game, but Drake May had no time to throw the ball like ever. I think the Broncos defense matches up pretty well. If Stidham can just be a game manager, and it kind of goes back to like Nix isn't groundbreakingly good. He's just good at not making mistakes. So if they can just plug and place that, I don't know. I think they have a chance. They're not my favorite, but I think they have a chance.
Can I propose you guys one more question?
Yeah, go for it.
So what if Stidham was playing for the Texans this weekend instead of Stroud? Would the Texans have done better?
No, and that's where my argument comes in, right? That's why I think the Patriots have the edge here, is because, again, and you mentioned you might have a bias for the Broncos. I might have a bias in this as well because, like I said, I'm an Auburn fan. I've probably seen more Stidham games than most people.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
So, like, I know he's not a good football player, and I'm not trying to throw shade at the guy. Like, it's just true, right? Like, and he didn't have a lot of help around him at Auburn. I'll give him that. But neither did Bo, and I saw what Bo did at Auburn. So it's like, both these guys at Auburn with not a lot of talent around them offensively, both thrived. Stidham did not. So, like, I know there's a gap there, and I just feel like, there's a reason that Stidham is a backup who's been he was literally the backup for the Patriots at one point, right? Before they shipped him off somewhere else. So, like, the fact that the Patriots are like, no, we don't even want this guy as a backup tells me that they probably have really good odds to beat him here in that scenario. So, yeah, I think if both these teams are at full strength, I think the Broncos would be the favorite. But I think after we saw what you said the Patriots might have gotten exposed by the Texans. Well, they also dropped 28 on the Texans after only dropping 16 on the Chargers. So the fact that they were able to turn the ball over 3 times and still score 28, now I know that got propped up by 4 turnovers themselves, but the fact is they caused 4 turnovers, and if Stroud turned it over 4 times, who's to say Stidham won't? Because again, experience comes into it too, right? Like it'd be one thing if this was a backup who'd played a few games coming into this to get warmed up. He's coming in with no warm-up time. His warm-up time was he found out after the game on Sunday, hey, you're playing next Sunday. He's getting less than 7 days of time to know that he is the starter in the AFC Championship game, and that's some big lights to play under. I don't even know if Auburn went to a bowl game when he was there, so I don't know if he's ever played under big lights.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, the pressure's going to be huge. It's for me, it's just interesting because, you take out Josh Allen, in my opinion, take out Rodgers, take out Mahomes or whatever, take out the elite 0.1 1% or whatever. I don't think there's much of a difference between starting QBs and the backup QBs as we make there is a difference to be. And then you give them someone like what? You disagree with that?
I strongly disagree.
You strongly disagree that this discrepancy between all the starters in the NFL is a massive gap.
I mean, Danny Dimes and the Colts were 8-1. And then when he got hurt, the Colts finished the year at 8-9. Like they went on an 8-game losing streak.
Yeah, he was part
I think it's only a close gap.
Yeah.
I think it's only the close gap for the bottom 5 teams in the league. Look how bad the Dolphins were without Tua, and Tua's a terrible quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at the Chiefs, like Olajuwon. That's a very hot take, in my opinion. I think there's probably 5 to 8 teams where the backup doesn't make that big of a difference, and in every other team, it's a huge difference. Massive difference. I would say it's a massive difference for every team that made the playoffs.
Like the Mac Jones and Purdy doesn't change your mind at all?
No, because look how much better the Niners were with Purdy. Even though Mac Jones played well, they weren't winning as much as they should have.
But that's what I'm trying to say is the production wasn't as far off. Whether you get the results or not, I'm sure that's something hard to correlate. But I feel like the production from that position, and I could be totally wrong again because obviously I didn't, I'm not there in practices and stuff like that. But look at Huntley did with the Ravens. Was it that far off from Lamar?
Well, that's because Lamar had a terrible year though.
Yeah, that's true too. Look at Malik Willis with Love. Like, I just don't know it's that massive of a gap. And as Vinny said, well, I don't know if Nix is in that top 10 or 15 QBs in the NFL. He could be closer to the bottom 15.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just interesting. And again, we can move on and want to just talk about the Broncos. So it's fun.
Okay, this is the last thing about this game though.
Yep.
The Super Bowl is probably the largest money-making event in U.S. entertainment, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if I'm sitting at home in New York and I work for the NFL, there is no way that I am letting a Jared Stidham-led Denver Broncos team make the Super Bowl.
They let Nick Foles go to the Super Bowl and win.
But that team was like had Nick Foles for a while, right? Like they think he was like pretty much the quarterback for the whole season and kind of earned his way there. Like
Wentz was MVP though.
No, Wentz was on pace to be MVP.
Was going to be MVP.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yes, he was, and went down. And on top of all that, he caught a thing called the Philly Special and has his own statue. Like, he went from a backup to having a statue outside a prestigious stadium that loves football.
And that's what they were saying on Twitter, right? Like, in order to beat the Patriots dynasty, you either need a random backup
that's so funny.
or a mediocre quarterback. Yeah. So
I saw that they were just preparing to win against the Patriots. Sean Payton's the ultimate coach. I saw that.
Also, it's such a weird spot to be in because it's like, I'm a Raider fan, so I'm against the Broncos, but also, like, I do want Stidham to do well and Bo to do well because they're Auburn players. And also, like, we just suffered through a Patriots dynasty for the last 20 years. Do we really need to see them back in the Super Bowl already?
No.
Can I have a little more time? So.
Yeah, I also think, Sean Payton will become insufferable if he wins this game with Stidham, but I think it does a lot for the NFL if you can win with different quarterbacks.
I mean, the only reason he didn't win 2 Super Bowls in New Orleans, though, was because the referees don't know what pass interference is.
Oh, for sure. And he could have won another one on the Tracy Porter interception or whatever, but yeah, go on.
Anyway, let's just make our pick on this game then. Broncos or Pats? Who are you taking?
I'm going to reluctantly still take the Broncos.
Vinny?
I'll go with the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Like I said, I think the Broncos are the better team, but I think quarterback matters so much in the NFL, so I'm going to take the Patriots, but I'm not sold on it. All right, let's move to the other side. Seahawks, Rams. I feel like based on what we've seen in the playoffs so far, the Seahawks have to be a heavy favorite here, right?
Heavy, yeah.
Now, the line isn't as big as the other game. The line of the other game is 4.5 for the Patriots, and the Broncos are the home team, meaning the Patriots are really 7.5-point favorites. Seahawks, Rams. Seahawks, the home team, only getting 2.5, so that means a lot of the money's on the Rams.
Yeah, and didn't the Rams just blow like a 16-point lead like a few weeks ago against the Seahawks? So I think it's going to be closer. The Seahawks might be one of the most surprising teams to me in recent memory. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the top 4 teams left. Dude, if the Bears pull the game off against the Rams, okay, I know this is a hypothetical. If the Bears had won, this would have been the worst 4 teams that I could possibly imagine in recent memory vying for the Super Bowl. I just like this star power wise, staying power. I'm just very unimpressed with all the teams that are somewhat left. So, but obviously they're good. But like the Seahawks surprised me, the Broncos surprised me, the Patriots surprised me, the Raiders beat the Patriots, right? Like we're gonna sit here and say the Raiders.
We also only lost to the Broncos by 1 score in both games we played them.
Yeah, so, it's just one of those things where it's like, the Seahawks are very surprising to me. It'll be so interesting. I think the Rams-Patriots would be a much more dynamic Super Bowl, but the Seahawks, to me, have to be the heavy favorites for this game.
Yeah, there's just no way. Also, the one thing I will counter to what you're saying, Vinny, obviously, who knows, this is a big hypothetical, but in the next 3 or 4 years, I could possibly, the Broncos and the Seahawks could definitely be on the start of their dynasties for the next 4 or 5 years.
And I will say, like, the knock on Sam Darnold was he couldn't win the big game. Well, look at what he's done the last 2 big games, right? Like, their team has won.
If Darnold can play this consistently, and Bo Nix is, getting over his second year hurdle and does keep progressing the way we think he is with Sean Payton, unlike Stroud, which by the way, we would all pick the Texans as an upcoming dynasty team too if Stroud would just take that leap, right? So if Broncos or the Seahawks actually have their QB, I could totally see the Broncos Seahawks being in this divisional round for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, my Super Bowl pick has not gone well. I had the Jags if they could get past the Bills. They didn't. I had the Texans so their defense was so good, which I mean, look, they did great, but their offense hung them out to dry with 5 turnovers. So my now I have to pick again. And I guess I'm picking the Patriots from that side, and then on this side I picked the Rams. But honestly, I think Seahawks are winning this game. I know I picked the Rams from the beginning of the Super Bowl, but I think the Seahawks are going to win this game based on what we've seen in the last couple weeks.
Patriots Seahawks, that's like a rematch, right? Patriots Rams is a rematch. I think I'll just go Broncos Seahawks. Let's keep it non-rematch. And
so you're taking chalk, basically. You're taking chalk. You're taking the one.
I did say that. I said that before the playoffs. I said I didn't want to take chalk, so I went Broncos Rams. But this is easily probably Broncos Seahawks. This is the year of the defense. Like you just need a QB that doesn't turn the ball over and can game manage, and then you'll be in the Super Bowl.
Vinny,
do you think that the Bills right now are just like, dang, like we're just kicking ourselves? What a chance to win the Super Bowl, but. I mean, I think it's Patriots, Seahawks. Oh God, and I don't want either team to win. A tie. They go to 4 overtimes. Nobody wants to stay.
I mean, the last thing we need is another Boston championship. So I'm taking. Look, my original pick is the Rams. So I'm going to say that the Rams are my original pick. So that's what I'm taking. But like, if it is Seahawks Patriots, I would take Seahawks.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think it's Seahawks Patriots. I think the Seahawks make it.
They have to go up to Seattle, right? I just don't. It's just gonna be so tough.
All right, that's all the picks and whatnot. So we will see what happens there. I know we're close to out of time here, but real quick, I wanted to give a stat. Like I said, I picked the Texans. They did lose, but at least they did get one win in this year's playoffs, which means they now have tied the Arizona Cardinals for playoff wins. Just for context, the Texans were founded in 2002. The Cardinals were founded in 1898. So, just throwing that out there, Texans and Cardinals, same number of playoff wins, even though the two franchises have very different ages, which I thought was interesting. Do you guys want to talk NFL coaching news, or do you have to bounce?
Yeah, I've got time for coaching.
I have a little bit of time as well.
Okay, yeah, real quick, since we talked last time, there have been a couple of more coaching changes. The big one, obviously, the Bills did fire their coach after the loss, which Mitchell predicted that if they did not win the bowl, that they were going to oust their coach, and they did. So now there's a lot of people back on that coaching carousel looking for jobs. We had a couple of hires already. I think the Chargers defensive coordinator is now the Ravens head coach, right? Robert Saleh, which was the Niners defensive coordinator, is now the Titans head coach. The Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski, who used to be the Browns head coach.
Who hired Zach Robinson?
I don't know.
I forgot. I saw that or whatever. Let's see here. I was going to look it up.
What was the question?
Who hired Zach Robinson?
Oh, I missed that. I didn't know he got hired.
Oh, yeah, and then Jeff Hafley got hired as the Dolphins head coach. We already talked about...
Bucks OC. They've gone from Liam Cohen and David Cannella his last couple of years to now Zach Robinson. That's gonna be interesting for me. My favorite is the story coming out. Sorry if I cut you off, Alex. My favorite is the story coming out of the Bills where with the GM and the owner doing their press conference. Now, by the way, that was the owner's first time doing a press conference in 6.5 years, and now we know why.
Yeah, for those who did not see it, that was not very well received.
That was hilarious. Keon Coleman was not Brandon Beane's pick or whatever. It was Doug McDermott's, and it's like they have these documentaries where it's like Brandon Beane's like behind the scenes going like, we want Coleman, we're going to trade down, we love Coleman, blah, blah, and everything. So then Coleman says in the interview, he's like, well, I don't know if that's entirely, and then he walks it back and he's like, it was Doug McDermott who won, and then like everyone's like, hey, Coleman's still on the team, and the owner's just like, shut up after that and stop talking. It was just so bad. I have a question for you guys.
Well, and it is worth pointing out, like, the reason that it was funny is because the coach got fired, the head of football operations did not. He got promoted, right?
Yeah.
So the guy that probably should have been fired, because, look, the issue isn't the coach, it's the lack of talent around him. They haven't made a single good draft pick I think they've had like 2 Pro Bowlers in the last decade that they've drafted.
No, I don't think they have. I don't think they.
Or is
they've
it
had
0?
two,
Yeah,
but they have drafted
it's bad.
0,
Like the talent around them is bad. They make trades for guys like Amari Cooper who don't do very well, then retire.
Bosa.
Like they have not been a successful organization at acquiring talent. So the fact that the coach is the one let go and the guy who is in charge of choosing the talent gets promoted is just kind of hilarious.
Also, it's pretty funny. Like, there's video evidence of being at the combine saying, like, "Oh, good, I'm glad he like ran a slow 40 times so we can draft him." So it's like, it's hard. You know, I don't know. It's just the whole situation is very strange for me. I mean, you know how I feel. I can't believe they fired a guy. Mitch, I think, sees it obviously a little bit more clearly. I just don't see the talent on the roster. I haven't seen it for quite a few years. They have been unable to fill this wide receiver hole since Diggs left. And it's like, you're going to fire a guy who took this abysmal program and like the whole team is Josh Allen? Like, they do so much with Josh Allen. It's incredible.
Well, that's
why he should be MVP. Every year they make the playoffs, Josh Allen should be MVP because of what he does. Like, I said this last year, like, even though Lamar had the season he had, Josh Allen still deserved MVP because there's no way that you're a Super Bowl champion favorite every year with the roster you're putting together.
There's a lot of coaches privately who won't say, and I'm stealing this from Chase Daniels and a couple other guys, but like, there's a lot of coaches privately who won't publicly say, like, give me 5 years with a NFL MVP and see what I can do. Some guys don't get that ever in their coaching career. They'll never get a chance to get a multi-league MVP like Josh Allen, or should be, or, you know, possibly one of the best QBs of this generation. Like, if you had 5 years and you can't produce from it, that's on you. It doesn't matter how well you do. And also the example is like, it's dependent on like, and like a lot of jobs and everything. Like, let's say, I'm one of the top 10 managers in San Diego or whatever, but it's like, yeah, but that's not good enough for this restaurant and this place. You need to be a top 3 with results. Otherwise, you can go coach other places. Who cares? So, like, I don't get this comparison like, oh, he's so good in comparison to others. It's like, well, it's not good for this situation. When you have Josh Allen and you have 5 years, that's more than plenty than you should have to succeed. The only thing I can this reminds me of is Peyton Manning went to Denver with John Fox, and they fired him after 1 year, and the next year they brought in Gary Kubiak and won a Super Bowl. So 1 year or couple years with John Fox was not good enough. Peyton Manning was like, you got to go. Maybe Josh Allen is realizing after X amount of years in the league, he's older, and he's like, I can't win with him, and did it behind closed doors. Here's my question to you guys.
Well, I don't know if it's behind closed doors. Where you ask a question, like, because allegedly the owner walked in, saw Josh Allen crying in the locker room. That's when he made his decision. That's what the report is.
That's also like him probably trying to win favor with fans. I seriously doubt that an owner would make a decision that split of a second and 1 second. That's like.
I mean, based on the press conference he gave, who knows, man?
Yeah, for sure, that's true. My question to you guys is like, okay, you can bring the Ravens and the Giants back and then pretend Harbaugh hasn't signed and the Ravens got Minter or whatever, the San Diego's DC. Pretend they're all available. If the Bills don't have Josh Allen, where does that head coaching job rank for vacancies available? Like, I would rather go to Tennessee than the Bills if they don't have Josh Allen.
Yeah, if they don't have Josh Allen, that's not a very coveted job at all.
So therefore, it's all Josh Allen, and any coach who comes in is just counting their lucky stars that they get to be a head coach with Josh Allen. So you had 5 years, by McDermott. I'm tired of everyone being like, he's one of the top 10 coaches in the NFL. That might be true, but when you're in this city with this job, with this player, you have to be better.
Which is ironic, because that was the argument I made about why they let go of Harbaugh, and you didn't agree with them letting go of Harbaugh.
Well, the only reason I didn't agree with letting go of Harbaugh is because Harbaugh drafted and built Lamar. Dable drafted and built Josh Allen. McDermott inherited that. You can go back to Tomlin inheriting a multi-Super Bowl team with that defense of Porter and Ben Roethlisberger and Ward and all these guys, and he inherited it, and then he did well for many years. McDermott never built anything. And if anything, he hasn't built talent around Allen at all. Like, this is so obvious that Dermott has to go to me. Like, yes, if he did the same thing in Jacksonville or the Raiders or something like that, then I'd be like, you guys are crazy for letting him go. But not in Buffalo with Josh Allen. It's a different time, different place, different city, different people.
I I mean, all I know is I would, as a Raider fan, be very happy if McDermott wanted to coach the Raiders.
For sure, as you should be.
I'd be happy if anyone wanted to coach the Raiders.
But speaking of which, I think there's some question. Like, I'm very surprised by the Jesse Minter going to the Ravens. I think Saleh getting another chance with the Titans is very interesting to me.
That was very surprising, him getting another opportunity so quickly, because like most people would agree that the Niners defense was worse this year than they had been, and this was his only year as the Niners DC. So like that's
It's also interesting.
Do we forget that he had a team with about the same amount of talent in New York for like 3 years and like couldn't win? Like, is everybody just forgetting that?
I mean, probably just because of the Jets, but yeah.
You might get a pass for being on the Jets.
And the Hafley signing down in Miami. I mean, maybe that's like a prove me wrong. Maybe he's like a rah guy, but I don't know. Going from Harbaugh to Minter is a strange choice to me. McDaniel to this Hafley guy is interesting. Stefanski in Atlanta. I don't know. Sometimes the head coaching carousel just really confuses me.
I don't know. I understand the defensive I understand the defensive hire in Baltimore. I think if you think that your offense is going to right the ship, that this year was a fluke, that you've got the guy in Lamar, you've got the pieces on offense. Your defense was worse. If you can just have a good defense, you can compete, right? So like I understand that hiring. Now I don't know if that's correct based on Mitch's report that Lamar was sleeping in meetings and whatnot, but we'll see.
Yeah, apparently I've been nonstop following that story. I'll just sum that up real quick. It's like apparently people in the organization were mad at Harbaugh letting Lamar get off the hook with everything, and he's like, it trickles down that when Lamar is not being held accountable to all these top things, then he lost the locker room apparently or whatever. So like, if that's true and all, then that's not even Harbaugh's fault. So that sucks, but yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's all interesting. I've always been fascinated with the coaches who have failed in other systems and with like really good rosters getting second chances, and then like Robert Saleh, for example, immediately kind of getting these second chances. Like Kevin Stefanski is kind of an interesting hire down in Atlanta, but then every once in a while they kind of prove you wrong, like Ron Rivera. Like you're like, wow, okay, and then he revitalized the Commanders a little bit, and you see it. You see these guys get fired. They're kind of incompetent, and then all of a sudden they take off with a new team. So,
for me, sorry.
There's just so much good coaching talent out there. So a lot of like the quick first hires is an interesting choice for me.
I think you said it best like months ago or whatever. It's like a lot of offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators don't make good head coaches because there's a lot more to being a head coach than play calling. But the only way you can get these elite play callers defensively or offensively away from their team that they're on right now is by offering them head coaching jobs. So it's kind of like a catch-22, I guess, or whatever you want, a double-edged sword. It's like, we really want you to come here and call plays, but we already kind of know ahead of time that you're not going to be able to run this team. So it's really, the carousel just is kind of like running itself, so to speak.
Not to monopolize this conversation, because I feel like I've had a lot to say.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I mean, you also haven't been here in weeks, so like you're deserving of some airtime.
On coaching hires, I'll put a little fantasy plug in here. I am drafting all of the Los Angeles Chargers next year. All of them. Hampton, Herbert, McConkey. My Gadsden, like, dude, come on. Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh, like somebody who's gonna like not put up with his weird shenanigans. Like they're just not gonna let Mike McDaniel be weird. You just use his creative brilliance to not be a head coach.
Oof. Not just that, but the only thing with Harbaugh running that team, he's not going to put any responsibilities on Daniels that's going to have to do anything with like leadership or whatever. It's just going to be focus on calling plays, and that's all you have to do. But also, Herbert's the best QB he's ever going to have that he's called play for. So let's be real.
Yeah, I mean
And I mean, vaping on the sideline like he did in Miami is also going to be allowed in California, so it'll be fine.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing too is I don't know if he picked California just because of the weather, but I couldn't imagine going from Miami to Buffalo and becoming the Buffalo OC. But He did get the kind of like, so to speak, I don't know how much this is true, but the optics make it seem like he got the pick where he wanted to go. So McDaniels, if he's not just, high or whatever, he probably knows the best place that he could, do the best. And when you get your pick or whatever, then that's even more of a telling, like, okay, things are lining up. Whereas opposed to like, oh, I wanted this job, but I didn't get it, so I'm going to take this job. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like he got to pick Los Angeles to go to.
Oh my God, for sure. I actually thought it was hilarious that he withdrew his name from the Cleveland Browns candidacy. Granted, he's just like, nah, like there is no way I'm working with that roster.
I'd rather take a pay cut and be an OC than.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it would be like we said though, like you want Mike McDaniel to be your offensive coordinator, like you want that to happen. And I if he was one of the highest paid coordinators, I wouldn't be surprised.
And that, on the flip side, Vinny, I think Achane is going to be massively overdrafted next year. But don't tell anyone. Even though we're a fantasy football podcast, don't tell anyone.
It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Let people overdraft Achane and let Hampton fall to all the rest of us.
Also broadcast on YouTube. But keep it a secret. Whatever you do, don't share this podcast.
Well, whatever you do, don't. I guess listen to it unless you're in our fantasy league. Then don't listen to it.
the only people who actually listen were
the only people the worst audience possible. But hopefully by this time they all forget.
So the other day, Samantha goes, rank the cube running backs that you're going to do next year. And I was like, well, I got to see where some of these OCs goes. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, if McDaniels goes to Detroit, I'm drafting Gibbs number 1 overall, and it's not even close. Lock it in right now. So Hampton's definitely moved to like top 6. I think I have him at 6 or something right now. So yeah, someone's gonna hit real hard with Hampton next year. I think it's gonna be a great pick.
All right, ladies. Well, I know it's getting towards the end of your time slots, so do we need to wrap it up here, boys?
I got like 5 to 10 more.
I need to. I'm a little over on my duties.
All right, Vin. Well, thanks for dropping in. We appreciate having you. Say goodbye to all the Delvers out there.
See you guys. If I had one of those little Men in Black magic like lasers, I would remove everything I said about the Chargers for this episode.
Oh, also, feel free to respond to my text about the Super Bowl, Vin.
Okay, yeah, I will. Well, yeah, it's just hard for me to plan. I'm a very day-by-day guy right now.
All right, so, just saying.
I'm living life hour by hour, so when you say, hey, 3 weeks from now, I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to reach out to Dakota to get her to pencil me in.
Yeah, and she's much more responsive, too.
Wow, all right. Later, man.
See ya.
All right, Mitch, what about you? Anything you want to talk about them in your last 5 to 10 minutes?
No, the only thing I want to comment on, I think from the last time we talked or whatever, I said there was a story leaked about the Miami owner Ross coming in and firing McDaniels in front of a player.
Right.
Well, that player came out this week and confirmed, because it was such a wild story. He's like, no, it happened. It was Darren Waller. He came out and confirmed. 100% happened. Yeah. He's like, 100% happened. He's like, I'm in the meeting. I'm being let go from the Dolphins. And the owner comes in and is like, no, this meeting doesn't count. You're fired. And Darren Waller's like, so what do I do with Am I on the team? Am I gone?
And honestly, that honestly gives it more credibility to me, because Darren Waller is a guy who is a veteran. He was already retired. So, like, it's not like he's someone who's going to be salty about being cut. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy who was already retired, maybe thinking about retiring again. So the fact that the Dolphins would be cutting him because he had multiple injuries this year, like, he was good in the games he played, but he had multiple injuries, which was kind of the problem his entire career. Like, I don't see him as someone who's going to be salty that he was getting cut. So, like, it makes me believe this story even more.
And it's just embarrassing at all levels. Why don't you wait 5 minutes till that meeting's over? Oh, hey, Mr. Waller, hope everything's great. See you later. And then you walk in there and be like, pack your things and GTFO. Like, you got to do that in front of a player during a meeting. It's just the most. If I was a head coach and I've seen what's happened with the GM and Pagola, the owner in Buffalo, and then I saw what happened with Ross and their owner, their GM in Miami, I would be like, there's just no way I'm going to coach there, because it's going to be 2-1. Clearly, the GM and the owners are buddies, and like, next time something bad happens, it's going to be them sitting at a press conference and blaming me for drafting Keon Coleman. You know what I mean?
Like, and it's such a bad look too, because, like, you did this because you wanted to get, like, the timing of it makes it look like you did this specifically to try to get Harbaugh, right? Because of the timing of this.
That's what it looks like.
Like,
100%.
And you didn't even get an interview with Harbaugh. So it just looks so bad on you. Whereas if you had waited and done this, even if your reasons was because you wanted to get Harbaugh and then you didn't get an interview, you could have then come out and said, like, oh no, we made this decision because the team was going in a different direction. We're potentially going a different direction at QB, so we just wanted to start fresh. Like, you could spin it in a different way and control the narrative, but you can't control this narrative when this is very public. The timing of it makes it seem like you were in a rush to fire him so you could get on the phone with Harbaugh, and Harbaugh didn't even take an interview.
And it's not even just that, too. It's so obvious, Alex, because Monday, Tuesday was like Black Monday or whatever they call it or whatever, and Harbaugh wasn't fired then, right? He was fired on Thursday. So then McDaniels gets fired on Friday. Why not fire McDaniels on Monday? Plus, there's reports that McDaniels' agent leaked or whatever that him and the owner had a meeting or whatever on that Tuesday and everything was fine, no firing. Thursday comes around, Harbaugh's fired. Friday, McDaniels is fired. So, like, you don't have to be all that intelligent to connect the dots and be like, So I'm just saying.
You don't have a meeting with your boss on Thursday and then get fired on Friday. That doesn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's his name? The defensive coordinator for the Packers, Haley or whatever his name is, he's got the job.
Hafley.
Thank you. He got the job. I don't think that's a bad hire, to be honest with you. So they just have to decide on and they hired a new GM there. So at least the new guy gets to come in and be like the owner Ross, like, let me and the GM do it. And Buffalo, he promoted that GM. Like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, the Buffalo one is wild to me.
So if they don't have Josh Allen, they probably won't even have a coach next year. Everyone's going to be like, no thanks. So, yeah, it's been interesting to me. The last thing I'll leave you on for our Delvers or whatever is if you guys want to have, before I have to go, I apologize. And Alex, I love doing this all the time, so I appreciate you doing all this. Look up the conspiracy theory in San Francisco about why they have all their injuries and what they're doing about it. You can't make this up. I couldn't even make this up if I tried. After 10 bulls or whatever, I couldn't make this up. So Google for a little teaser. Have fun, Delvers, and Google what's going on in San Francisco on how they're trying to fix their injuries. It'll blow your mind.
We'll have to talk about that next week because it sounds like a fun story, but.
It's a little wild. It's like the blind leading the blind. It's like, can you guys just go talk to a scientist, please, and end this real fast? Like,
all right. Last question, Mitch. Yeah. If the Bills didn't have Josh Allen, what would be the worst available head coaching job? Bills, Raiders, Browns, or Cardinals?
Buffalo.
You think it'd be Buffalo? Worse than Raiders, Browns, and Cardinals?
Because at least if I went to the other one, I wouldn't be guaranteed that the GM and the owner are going to buddy against me. This feels like if I was trying to get a manager job in San Diego or something like that, and it's like whoever's hiring me is buddy with the owner. It's like if there's ever any problem, it's going to be 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
So, like, I know I don't have a ton of experience in this realm of the real work world and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just commenting from my own personal experience. I'd be very scared to be hired by Bean and Paglio. I would rather go into the Raiders situation or the Cardinals situation with a fresh GM, or at least be given, what's the standard? Oh, if I win 8 games as a Cardinals coach next year, I'm going to be considered great. If you win 8 games as the Bills head coach next year, you're gone.
Yeah, and if you win 8 games as a Raider coach, we may throw you a parade. So
yeah, you're going to get a parade in Vegas. That's so good. All right. Bye, Delvers. I got to go.
All right, later, everyone. Thanks for listening. Peace. We're out of here.
Bye, guys.